One. Hi guys, welcome again to another episode of When the Scriptures Become Real. It's again a podcast where we learn, where we study, where we grow, where we try to become the best versions of ourselves as we can as we continue to serve our Lord. We have two special guests with us today, but before we get into that, again, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. You can find the podcast anywhere that you can get your podcast. And then we would love for you to subscribe, and we're thankful that you've subscribed to us. We're already up to 11.3K in downloads so far, so we continue to grow. And thank you guys so much for sharing and liking the podcast, and we hope we can continue to grow with you guys. All right, so before we get into our topic, we got to introduce the two guys that we got. All right, so we'll let these guys introduce themselves, then we'll get into the topic. So, Jonathan, introduce yourselves to the people here.
All right, hi, my name is Jonathan. I'm from Olive Branch, Mississippi. I'm 18 and I'm planning on going to college in the fall, and I'm just enjoying my summer right now. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, Jonathan Rickles, and we've got the Joker himself. Oh,
Hello,
Sam.
my name is Sam Rickles. You can find me in the Memphis area. I'm currently a junior in college, and at the moment, I'm running my business.
Ooh, see now these guys. Now the thing why I had these guys on is because they were actually youth guys at Forest Hill when I was there in school, and so we kind of developed a strong bond while we were there. And I've already got two of the best little brothers, but then I got two more when I got to the school. So appreciate these guys, and I'm glad they can be on with us. All right, so guys, let's get into what we're talking about today. So the topic is learning to grow with your teacher. And when I mean teacher, not necessarily like school teacher, but in the realm of like ministry, learning to grow with your youth worker. And so a lot of times, working in youth ministry, kind of we have the privilege to work with you guys and work with other people. And so that's a great thing that we have to do. But many times what happens is a lot of the youth ministers, they're labeled as like the fun guy, like if that makes sense. So they're labeled as just the guy that just, all right, let's drop the kids off and they can have fun with so and so, and then they get a little bit of spiritual stuff, but then they'll just go with the fun guy. But we got to remember as we learn to grow with our teacher, if we want you guys to grow with us, then we have to show a sense of dignity too. So we're still gospel preachers as we're teaching and learning with you guys. And so, what the youth minister should be to the youth, he should be a teacher of good things. And so, we're still gospel preachers as well. So, we're not exempt from teaching the gospel, and we're not exempt from letting you guys know what the gospel is either. We can have fun, but we're also supposed to teach you guys how to evangelize, how to live Christian lives, right? And so, as we kind of talk about this, I'll start with you, Jonathan. As you thought about this topic of kind of learning to grow with your youth minister or a teacher, give me kind of some verses or some things and thoughts that you had, and then Sam, you can jump in too.
Well, for the first thing, like I thought about when like you introduced the topic, like I was thinking that like a teacher is somebody that like helps you kind of learn. Like they're like not just a school teacher, but just someone that's gonna help you learn and teaches you. Like, as long as like we're talking about a youth minister, like they help you learn stuff about the Bible, but at the same time, there's someone else that also encourages you. Like I know in the past, like you and the youth minister we have now, like they're like the most encouraged people, like the people that have encouraged me the most out of everybody that I know, like have pushed me to reach these goals that I've gotten to. And like some verses I found or that I thought of were Titus 2 and 7 through 8. And that verse is saying like, it's telling us like, like as a teacher, this is what a teacher like does for them. Like it says, as it reads, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuck out to me because it's like as that teacher to me, they're someone that's gonna like continue to show this pattern of like being that person for you, being that person that teaches you these things, being that person that you can always go back to, that they're going to give you some piece of advice or something that encourages you.
Yeah. Sam, you have something before we keep going?
No, I agree with what Jonathan's saying. You really want to keep that relationship where you maintain the dignity of both parties.
Yeah.
You keep unfoul and unclean things from being thought of you, and of course stay it out of yourself.
Yeah. And when you brought that up in Titus chapter 2, you got to remember too, Paul is actually writing to him. So Paul is actually learning from his teacher. So I mean that's the great thing about and for those that are listening that work in youth ministry, um, I think a lot of times we have a misconception of what it is. I think sometimes, and I made the mistake too when I started with you guys. So the mistake was, all right, so in order for me to get to know the youth, we just got to do fun stuff. And then after the fun stuff, then we'll start teaching them. See, what we have to do is I don't know if you guys remember, but when our relationship started getting real close there in Memphis, yeah, we had fun, but it started getting closer when we had those late night talks in the youth room or in my office or in my apartment or at whoever else's house. So when we talked about scripture, when we talked about this is what's going on, because we got to remember, not only are we trying to help you guys as what Paul was helping Titus, we got to remember you guys are going through real problems. So fun stuff is not going to solve problems. It can mask it for a while, but it's not going to solve what you guys are going through. And so, like what you mentioned in Titus, what the one thing that we can do is we can help you guys in good works, in gravity, and sincerity, that you have sound speech. So the way, and here's something that I've learned from a guy. He said, "Show me your youth minister, and I'll be able to show you what your youth are like." So if your youth minister isn't Titus chapter 2, if your youth minister is just a fun guy, I can show you a picture of what his youth is like. And so this is the great thing about teaching, is that we're actually helping each other. So what's the next verse that you had coming up, Jonathan?
My next verse was going to be Deuteronomy 32, 2 and 3.
Oh, and before you keep going, guys, we want you guys to follow along with us like we do before. So open up your Bible to these scriptures and follow along as we read these. All right, so what was this one? Deuteronomy what now?
Deuteronomy 32, verses 2 and 3. And in this verse, God is talking to Moses, or Moses is it's pretty much Moses is talking to God here, and he's saying it reads, "My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as the small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass, because I will publish the name of the Lord and ascribe ye greatness unto our God." He's saying here, what I kind of got from that was he's saying what he's trying to do for the people, the Israelites, here, he's trying to show them what he's saying, it should touch you like rain, it should be fresh to you. It should what he says should be like the dew, in the morning, it refreshes you every time you hear from him, or every time you speak to him, what he has to say is gonna make you feel refreshed, I guess. And it doesn't have to just be it can't just be, it's not just advice, but even in scripture, what they're going to teach you is refreshing you in that state of mind of Jesus.
Ooh, that's good. John or Sam, what do you got on that?
Well, I mean, tying into what you guys are talking about being refreshed in, uh, you know, if you show me your youth minister, and I'll see your youth at that congregation. What I can think of from that time, and still in my life, and I feel like it probably doesn't really go away. It's a real stormy, sometimes in
Yeah.
life, and
Yeah, it is.
and if you just try to have fun in the youth group, and church in general, because I mean that's something that I've seen some churches go towards just being fun. Is that it's like in a time of a hurricane's coming, and instead of going to the house that's up on the rock, which might not be as nice, you go to the house that's built upon the sand and be like, well, I'm just going to stay here because it's fun in here. I
Mm,
want fun while the storm's in. And then you just get washed away because you decide to go to the house that's not really built on anything solid.
right.
Uh,
And
could
the
continue.
crazy thing is, when you talk about that, the thing that youth ministers that we don't understand sometimes is y'all aren't going to tell us that. You know what I mean? So you're not
Yeah.
going to tell us, at least at first, you're not going to say, "Hey, I'm going through this."
Yeah,
And
that's
so it's yeah, what are you going to say?
that's what I was gonna bring up. Like the fact that like when you think about the youth minister at first, like when people are coming into the youth group, like they're like, oh well, I see them doing fun things, so like yeah, why wouldn't I want to be a part of that? But when it starts getting to the point where like there's disagreements or like somebody's actually going through something like and they don't know what to do, like usually like they're like trying to figure out what they need to do, so they start asking other youth. Well, like
Right.
that youth minister is there to like actually answer those questions. Like he's not just the fun guy. Like that's why I was seeing like that's a person that you can actually go to for good advice. Like if you're going through something actually. And that's why I was like, that's what made me think when you were talking about like, the youth minister and like, show me your youth minister, I'll show you your youth. Like when they're going through something, like that youth minister needs to be there. Like they're a great resource.
Yeah, and I love that example that you brought, Sam. I never thought about it that way. So with Deuteronomy, with Jonathan brought up kind of as the dew on the rain, sometimes we got to understand a storm is coming if it's not already there in their lives. If it's not there, it's coming. And so when that storm's coming, as a youth minister, like you said, so if I'm just leading you to that house built on sand, it's fun to go to the beach, right? It's fun to do all that stuff. But then when life really hits, then you're not strong enough to handle what goes on. And then next thing you know, then they leave the Lord. Because when they were with the youth minister and when they were in the church, they didn't get anything. And so my admonition to the youth ministers is give them the word. So I think what hurts us and what I hear a lot, well, studying is not that fun. They don't it seems like we get more people if we do more stuff than study. You get the thing about it is you guys remember when we would study and when we would start having these conversations, um, sometimes on a consistent basis, it might only be just maybe us three and Matt at the time.
Mhm.
Maybe a couple extra every once in a while. But remember when it was just, and then when we did something fun, then like 50, a bunch of people would show up. But then
Yeah.
once we really got to the nitty gritty, it was us consistently four. And so the thing is, I don't know about you guys, but I remember those times more than the fun stuff. I don't even remember half of the stuff. I mean, we went all around Memphis, doing whatever. But I remember, all right, man, we studied this, we grew, and now we're even talking 6, 7 years later because
Yeah.
we grew with that relationship with Christ. That's a great verse. I'm gonna look. That's a sermon, bro. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, are you preparing your kids for the hurricane? Are you preparing your kids for the storm? That's legit. You guys got anything else before we keep going?
No, I'm ready to go to the next
Yeah, let's go
verse.
to the next one.
The next verse I found was Proverbs 1:5. And it says a wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. And so like what I thought with this verse, like what we were just talking about, like that youth minister is there like as a resource. Like if you're gonna be like, a follower of God or a Christian, like the Proverbs say, like if you're gonna be a wise man, like wise men don't just like live like as they want to. Like what Sam was saying, like they don't just go to the fun, like to the beach. Like they like even when the storm's coming, like they need to go to shelter. Like they need to go to the high place. And like what I was seeing here is like a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. Like if you're gonna try to understand, you're gonna try to like get through what you're going through. Like you're gonna need to attain. Like you're gonna have to go to somebody that's wiser than you and that knows more about like what you're going through. And if they have the same experience that you have, then why wouldn't you want to go to them? Because they're gonna tell you advice that help them get through it as well.
Right. Oh, that's good. Sam?
Yeah, if you look down a little bit further in this chapter, you look at chapter 10. It's my son. If sinners entice thee not, consent thou not, and you keep going with that. You can kind of see Solomon's kind of giving you an example of, hey, I've seen, you might think, oh, I'm going to go have fun, I don't want to go hang around for the Bible study after church. I want to go hang with the boys or girls. I'm going to go out there. But then you look at like, verse 15, my son, walk not thou in the way with them, refrain thy foot from their path. For in verse 16, their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I don't know about everybody, but No, we never got up to but as a youth group. But I mean, like the same. You can still hurt people without like shedding their blood.
Yeah.
And you can easily fall into that if you're not making that foundation upon the rock. I mean, if you don't start there, you're not going to have anything to show for it. Because you're going to wind up like when you graduate high school and have to be on your own and be like, okay, where do I go? I'm alone.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
See, and this is why I love talking to you guys, because this is the thing when you're with a youth group, and whether you're still with them or you move away, you should still be able to talk years later and have Bible conversations like this. And so, like what you talked about, Sam and Jonathan talking about, a wise man will hear. See, here's the thing about, as we teach you guys, what happens so many times is everybody wants to have fun, and the next thing you know, we're talking about Christian people now. They're living verses 10 through 16. So like you said, they might never get to the point of physically, running to evil and shedding blood, but in other ways they can with their own brethren. And so what happens so many times is, Sam, they leave their house, they realize they're on their own, and they realize they're not as strong as they were, or not as strong as they thought they were, because you're really alone now. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I miss those times that we had. So, I haven't had that since we left. I've had it, I'm getting it more now, but it's been a while since I had what we had. And so the thing we got to, so while we're together, like Jonathan said, so what do we need to be talking about while we're together? We need to be talking about wisdom. And where does wisdom come from? It comes from the word. This is only going to help you guys get better. Now, sometimes, people make the excuse, well, it's not the fun thing to study. It's not the fun thing to, yeah. So would you rather study and actually have some wisdom, or later on your life is in shambles because you weren't willing to sit down with your youth minister and study? So I think these are just, man, Proverbs is just so practical, man.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
About being, you got to prepare yourself. One thing I kind of I learned, I kind of stumbled upon early on, and I could kind of towards the later days of the youth group era for me. It's like you look at like Genesis 6 and 7 and 8. We're talking about the flood. It's like, God saying, hey, everybody else around you is doing wicked things. You might want to go do that. You might not. Noah and Noah's sons. But hey, guess what? It's going to rain soon, and you're all going to die if you don't build this boat.
Yeah.
You don't know what rain is. You don't know. It's like saying, hey, Jonathan, there's going to be a fire tornado if you don't build this house out of, I don't know, clay, red clay, found at this hill. Like, there's no fire tornadoes. That's stupid. Like, that's silly. But then, hey, there's a fire tornado. You're just going to stand there like, hey,
you're not ready for it.
Hey, can you open up the door?
Yeah.
It's kind of scary out there.
That's crazy, man.
On your own. You didn't build the ark.
And the thing is, sometimes this is why what Jonathan brought up in verse 4, when a good man is speaking, a wise man and a wise young woman will hear. Because the things that I'm telling you guys, you haven't been through it yet. So you have to, in a sense, trust me of what I'm saying, so that just in case it happens, you'll be prepared for it. So it's just like that example you brought up. So if a fire tornado comes up, so if I've been preparing you for this fire tornado, you might never see it, but if it comes, you're not going to be freaked out because it's coming. You're going to be like, all right, I'm ready. I've never seen it. I haven't experienced it, but I'm ready for it. And see, that's what wisdom helps you guys do. It helps you be ready for situations that you're not ready for. And so that's all that a wise man is trying to give you guys. Man, y'all are giving me sermons, bro. Bro, this is good. That's great. So what's the next one? You got Proverbs 1:5. There was another one too, right?
It was Proverbs 27:17. And it reads, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. And when I thought about this verse, I was thinking sometimes we don't see our youth minister as like a friend, I guess. Like, we kind of see them as they're the minister, and then they're just like higher up than us. Like, they're just there to coordinate everything. Like, No, like they're like a friend. Like they become your friend. Like me and Sam, like and Jordan, like we're all good friends. And like he's not just the youth minister to us. Like he's more than that. He's a friend
Yeah.
to us. Like that's what the youth ministers should start becoming. Like they're like you should start becoming a friend, like seeing him as a friend, not just as someone that coordinates the things that y'all do. Because like when you start seeing them as a friend, like they should start encouraging you. Like every time I've gone to them and seen them as a friend and just talked to them, like they always have something to say, something always like to tell, like even if it's just like you're having fun or even if it's just something you need to ask them about, like they're gonna have your back. Like that's like where I've gotten, and like they've encouraged me to do things that I never thought I could do.
That's it. That's good. Sam?
Nah, you can like always like go on with that walking hand in hand with a friend. Like you can go look at Genesis 5 with Enoch. Yeah, I mean you could go to like in Second
Yeah.
Kings with Elijah and Elisha. You know, back to Paul with Titus and Timothy, and sort of Philemon in a way. And I mean, it's all over. Like if you kind of can run into I think it's like Matthew 19 or 20 with like the rich young ruler.
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, I want to be your friend. It's like, well, okay, here's what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
If you want to come inside, here's what it's going to cost. You got to put away, the sparklers, the flashy lights, the video games, maybe.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like, okay, you got to put that away, and it's like, well, I want to go to the movies. I don't want to read the Bible. I have a date. I don't want to hear what you have to say about marriage.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go do my own way, and then back to like Genesis 8 and 7, then going back to I mean like you can go to look at Exodus. I mean like oh now you're wandering or now you're drowning, or there's going to be something's happening if you don't listen, and this is if you don't, because look, the hand's being reached out to you, whether or not you take it. Then it kind of goes back to like youth ministry. It's like you didn't have to spend time with us.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got paid a little bit, but like not enough to justify all of the crap we put you through. I mean, like Jamie would be like, you know what? Like as soon as like someone like hit another kid, and now I have to deal with parents being mad at me because their kids misbehave, I'll be like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. I got schoolwork I got to do.
Yeah.
I like to go find me a wife. Instead of spending time with you kids. There's things I'd rather be doing, but I'd rather just, but I'm here for your benefit. And you kind of can see that in college a little bit. Is like one of my accounting professors. She was a CFO for a major company for like 30 years. That's like big money. But now she's a professor at a college, and it's like she took a pay cut just
Right.
because of what she wants to do. So, like, oh, who cares what she has to say? She has more experience than you will ever have, and took a pay cut to tell you, give you that experience, to give you that wisdom. It's like she doesn't have to be here. She could be sitting at a nice beach resort, in Florida in her condo because she's making, 6 figures a year, being a CFO. She doesn't have to be here like dealing with your complaints and your excuses.
Yeah.
In your work and why you don't understand, don't want to do the work.
Yeah. See, and let me give a quick PSA to parents and kids out there. See what you mentioned, and I don't want to. I'm not taking. I hope you don't take it, and our listeners take this as gloating, but this is just the reality of what ministry and youth ministry is. So, like you said, so it's not like ministers and youth ministers, get bank. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're the richest guys in the world. And so you got to think, and even at the time at the school, so you're in a 5-year school condensed to 2 years. You got obligations there. You got obligations for other people. You got obligations to the congregation. And when I was hired on, now you have obligations to the kids and the parents. That's a lot of hard work for one person.
Yeah.
And so now that was training. That wasn't really, I mean, it was a job, but that wasn't, the real thing that I have now. So now I think parents and kids and even members need to understand a youth minister and a minister in general can make stuff look easy because all you really do, you just see him on Sunday most times. but you don't understand the work that he puts in for those kids, for you, for college age, for whatever. So I think more respect and more iron sharpening iron would happen if everyone else understood what the minister was doing and the minister understood what everybody else was doing. There has to be that mutual respect in order for iron to really sharpen iron. Because if you're sitting there and be like, well, I'm not going to listen to him, he doesn't have that much. I mean, he really doesn't do anything else. He doesn't have to work a job like I do. He didn't have to do, yeah, but you don't see the stuff behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing for you guys. So I can't hound you guys, but then not understand they might have had a tough week at school. They might have had a tough, different homes are different. Homes are built different in a youth group. So you don't understand what happened that week at home. So the goal should be when we're together is to sharpen each other with iron. And I'll tell you guys, I don't think you guys know this. When we were at the school, you talked about how the youth helped the youth minister. Well, there was times where you guys helped me out without even knowing. There was a time where I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit. I kind of wanted to go back to college, what I was doing before school, and just kind of take what I had and just go back home. And I wanted to quit. And there was one Sunday we had a youth event. We did something, and then we studied, and we hung out like we normally did. And I just didn't want to start another week. I was tired, and then I think both you guys sent me a text, and you were like, "Hey, man, thanks for tonight. We really needed this tonight," and that's what kept me going. I was like, "Man, if I quit, then they'll see that. Well, when things got hard, Jordan quit, or when things got hard, then he." So I couldn't do that because I didn't want you guys to quit and then other people to quit. So the youth really, when the relationship happens, the youth actually helps the youth minister too. So I'm a human too, so my iron needs sharpening. So we both are to sharpen one another. Man, that's a good, bro. This is getting a little deeper than what I. This is good, bro.
That was good.
Yeah, because like no youth minister really driving away in like a Mercedes or a car that even functions properly.
Bro, I had a Batmobile, bro, and y'all rode in that all the time. That was fun, bro.
Yeah, but like at the same time though, we'd be in the parking lot, being like kicking the thing, like hoping it turns over and it cranks.
Hey, bro, that took us everywhere. We love the Batmobile, man.
I know, but like it's like what you saying is like, like most people in like preaching, getting started, they don't have the luxuries of like someone that does work a job. They're taking pay cuts.
Yeah.
Be there, and
I mean,
like going further. I mean, you can go look at I think it's Sermon on the Mount, where it's like Jesus is saying, "Take my yoke, because it's easy and it's light."
Burden's light, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not saying, "Yeah, I'm just here, take it off, go have fun." I got you. This isn't Calvinism where like, oh, you're good. Just say a little prayer and I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's you still got a burden, even though it's lighter and maybe easier.
yeah.
You still gotta put in work.
I think I'll also think with what you were saying about like we sharpen the youth minister's iron as well. Like that kind of that continuation, like I guess like keeping you going. Like I don't know. Like when you said that, like I feel like those, like that's how you're gonna be the best person that you are. Like you can't just like when you start feeling like you need to give up, like you gotta start to lean on somebody else. Like you can't just give up, I guess. Like that's sort of where I was like, well, that's a good point. Because like if you're not always needing some, if you're just always thinking like you got it all the way, like then like when it gets tough, like you're gonna give up. And like you got to try to get through that with somebody else if you need the help.
And this is and I'm going to speak for some ministers here too, but a lot of us don't say this, but we need it. Some of the best, I mean, we are to encourage ourselves through the scripture. So remember when David, the city burned down of Agag, and everybody blamed him. And so then David encouraged himself when everybody else turned on him. So we're not talking about like a dire situation like that, but we're talking about when you're in a home congregation, whether it's regular ministry, youth ministry, whatever, one of the best things you can give to that man, whether he's married, single, doesn't matter. The best thing you can give to him is, even if it's a random text throughout the week, Because what that, like you guys said, what that man does, he has dedicated his entire life to you. He could be doing something else. He may have taken a pay cut to stay where he is because he cares about the specific youth, college age, and whoever else that is there. So
Mhm.
the best thing that you can give him, he doesn't want your money. He doesn't want all this other stuff. He just wants, and we're not preaching for this, but it's nice to have because we're human too. He wants that appreciation. So hey man, we appreciate the work you're giving because he's giving everything he's got to everybody else, but that same energy isn't given back to him. So no
Yeah.
wonder we have so many preachers and youth ministers quit because what happens is we give our hearts to everybody, but then everybody else that takes it doesn't give the effort to give it back. So then we're like, well, I guess we're not appreciated. And then, well, I'll go work in a secular field. I'll go back to what I was doing. So it's the relationship is two sided. It's not one way. It's never been one way. It never will
Yeah.
be. So that's really good too. What's the next? What's the last one you got here in Second Timothy?
The last verse I had was 2 Timothy 4:7, and it's I have fought the good fight, I have finished my course, I have kept the faith. And like for that verse, I was thinking like for the relationship between like a teacher, I guess, like, or a youth minister, and like like the youth, and or just, yeah, like they're like at the end, like when they see their youth grow, and when they see their youth like benefit off of what they've done, or like the encouragement that they've given them, when they see their benefits, like they're like, I finished my course, like I fought the good, like I did it, I did something, like, and like that encouragement, like it doesn't only just boost the person, like boost us as youth, like when you've encouraged me, or like Evan, that's our youth minister at Forest now, like when y'all have done that, like when you see us succeed, like it's not only just us succeeding, that feeling, but like y'all have succeeded because of what you've told us to do.
Yeah,
And it's that
yeah,
two-way thing that you're talking about, that two-way street that you're talking about.
yeah. That's good, Sam.
I agree with that because like going back to like those days where it's just like the three of us and maybe like Matt and maybe like I don't know someone else,
Yeah,
and it's like okay, it's like this is fun, but it's just it's just a little not much, I mean, and it can kind of get discouraging a little bit, but if you keep the faith and finish the course, I feel like on some levels, if you compare like people where they start off, no one's really going to start off in the same place spiritually as
yeah,
like a new convert or as like a teenager, because like you said, there's different backgrounds and lives that are lived through everybody, and I mean like I think you'd be surprised by some of the people that actually showed up and day in day out, for like the youth events, like whether it be like we're cleaning up, I don't know, ladies' days like trash. They just, the ladies just, had their ladies' days, and now there's, we got to move, we got to do that, or we got to clean out a closet for the education people, for the ladies that teach Bible class. That stuff that's really not that fun.
yeah,
And that stuff you're like, oh, I'll take a rain check.
yeah. I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
hit me up.
somewhere else.
And it's like you look at the people that stuck with it, and you see where they're at now, where you might have thought initially, oh, they're not going to keep it. They're going to get out and they're going to be sayonara.
Yeah,
Some people, it's like they stayed with it even though they were maybe not in the best place. Kind of like the publican and like the Pharisee and the praying. You might start off with the guy that's on his knees. He won't look. He's in the back of the building. And then you
yeah.
look at the guy that's up front. He's come from a nice family, split together, and then you think, oh, that guy's he's gonna keep it, and then go off to college, and where's Tony? Oh, Tony don't care no more.
He's gone.
But where's Steven, the guy that that has dirty clothes, bad parents, he had a lot of problems. No, he's still there. It's like, if you do this, you'll see results. It might not be the most fun thing, but if you finish the race, you'll see the results.
Thank you for saying that. So this is what, and that's the goal. See, when you stick with faith, see, this is why, guys, even with small stuff like cleaning that stuff, doing all that other stuff, studying, this is why you don't want to do that because it's not fun. So it's not fun, then I'm not going to do it. And it's not, it doesn't add value to my life because it's not fun. Well, the thing is, when you have faith, faith isn't always fun. Faith is hard. And I still struggle with my faith. Faith is hard to build. It's hard to live. It's hard to study. But no one really wants to dig in. We just want to have fun and then come to worship and just think our faith is growing, but it's not. So, the goal of the youth minister is to help your faith grow. But then, like we said before in the last point, we help you guys help our faith grow. So the only way, and here's what we've been trying to teach our kids here: the only way that your faith is going to grow is through the Word. Is through no experience, because everybody's life is hard. Now, your life might be harder in a sense than someone else's, but the question becomes, what excuse has God ever taken for life being hard from anybody? From nobody. So think about Joseph. He did everything right, but his life was hard for 16 years. So if Joseph would have made an excuse, would God have taken it? No. What about Job? His life was hard, right? His life was hard. So would God have taken an excuse? He actually didn't take the excuse from Job. He actually told Job, well, why don't you answer me? So the thing about it is, guys, life is hard, and we got to understand life is hard. So we can't just make an excuse, well, since life is hard, then I'm not going to grow my faith. So this is why, like the guys you mentioned, see, these aren't real guys, by the way. So he mentioned like Tony and all that. So we don't know, but as an example, so this is why guys like the invisible Tony that we're talking about, this is why they leave, because they realize, well, life is hard. Well, I'm not going to do anything. Well, I had opportunities to grow, but then I just ran off and had fun with everybody else. So now the hurricane comes, and now I don't know how to deal with it. And
Yeah.
then the sad part about it is, guys, then guess who gets the blame for it?
The youth minister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you gotta look in the mirror. So did the youth minister give you every opportunity to be successful? Yeah. Did he give you every opportunity to grow? Yeah, but were you there? Well, no, I just wanted to go off and hang with the boys. Well, no, I wanted to go and have fun. Hey, I wanted to go and go. Okay. The opportunity was given. So you can't say the opportunity was not given to you. And that's the thing about the gospel, is this is why we teach, because God's not going to accept any excuses, on the day of judgment. So this is, and as we kind of close this, these were some great verses that we want you guys to go back and look at and read these verses again for those that are listening. And again, when we were in Memphis, I would always kind of have some words of wisdom for these guys. So I'm going to do it now. So here's a couple things, guys, that I've learned since I've left, that I failed at, but I'm getting better at. And so just some things that we can grow in. So we'll have a little a youth office talk like we used to. So here's the first thing. So the first thing that I've failed in, but I'm trying to get better at, is you gotta stay humble. You gotta stay humble. Remember with Nebuchadnezzar, I think it was like Daniel 8. Remember when he came out to the palace, he was like, look at everything I built. Look at my palace. Look at all this stuff. The next thing God turns him into a beast, and he's eating grass. So the big thing for us is, especially as guys, it's hard for us to stay humble sometimes, because we think we're so if we have this nice car, if we have this nice, whatever, if we have this relationship, then we're better than so and so, or we're better than that person. You got to stay humble, because no matter what point at life you get in, whether you're poor, rich, whatever, there's always something you got to learn. So one thing I did wrong was I thought I was higher than what I was, so I had to be taken down like Nebuchadnezzar. So now I'm building back up. So always stay humble. So sometimes when the Lord knocks people down, they don't get back up. So don't let it get to the point where the Lord has to knock you down and it's hard for you to get back up. Just listen now. All right. So then the second one, this is a big one too. Learn to, and this is one of my problems, learn to control your ego. So I know, remember those days we played EOB and how heated it used to get, bro? So remember, throwing the ball, the feet getting stuck in the wall, all that stuff. So here's the thing: as guys, we're naturally competitive. So we gotta learn to control our ego. Again, you know, remember with Proverbs 16, when it talks about pride comes before the fall, you gotta control that ego because you gotta think. Remember with, and the thing about ego is you gotta be okay with being wrong. So remember with Cain and Abel when they both offered the sacrifice, and God accepted Abel's but not Cain's. And so if Cain would have controlled his ego, then he wouldn't have killed his brother. But because he was so mad that he was wrong, he killed his brother out of his anger and his ego. So the thing is, some things are going to happen sometimes, and your ego is going to be bruised, right? Whether it's family, whether it's a girl, whether it's whatever, your ego is going to be bruised some way. So just be ready for it. It's going to be bruised, and it might be your fault. Most times it probably will be, or it might be someone else. It doesn't matter. But whatever, don't let your ego take control when it's bruised. All right. Then number 3. Oh, this is a big one too. Learn to accept the L's. Learn. I knew Sam was gonna get weak, bro. Learn to accept the L's, and keep moving forward, man. Because here's the thing, like we talked about before, as guys, we're very competitive, and a lot of us know how to win. So when things are working out, it's all good. But when things don't work out, we don't know how to lose. So the thing is, sometimes you're gonna try at something, whether it's a job, whether it's, school, whether it's a relationship, no matter what it is, and you're gonna fail, and you're not gonna get it right. So the thing is, learn to accept that loss and just keep going. So don't dwell on the loss, right? Don't get mad at the loss. Don't get mad at yourself. Just take the L, learn from the loss, right, and keep moving forward. Says a lot of times what happens is, instead of learning from the loss, then we get bitter, right? We get envious, we get jealous, all that stuff. So just learn to take the L. All right. And then here's the last one. Um, as guys, and this is a problem that I've seen in some youth groups moving forward. A lot of guys complain because of what they don't got. So think about, so if you don't have money, most guys today complain because they don't have money. If they don't have this relationship, guys complain that nothing's happening. So here's my advice that my parents gave me that I want to give you guys. When, especially as guys, you gotta learn, and myself too, we gotta stop complaining. So when things don't work out, we gotta stop complaining about why it's not working. Because like we said before, did God ever accept any excuses from any guy in the Bible ever?
No.
Never did. So remember, think about Adam. Remember in Genesis? So who ate of the fruit first? Right?
Yeah.
Eve ate first. So then when God came looking for somebody, who did God come looking for? He came looking for Adam. But then what did Adam say to God? This woman that you gave me.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. God does not deal well with dudes that give excuses.
Yeah.
So like, life is hard as guys. So sometimes you're not going to get that encouragement. Sometimes you're not going to get all this stuff. But you can't sit there and complain. God still expects us to work. So
Yeah.
we can't complain. So remember, so what was Adam's punishment after that? So remember, Eve would have the hard birth with childbirth, but what was Adam's punishment?
I mean, he had to work.
You got to work. So the thing about, if as a man, if you're running away from work, then you're not fulfilling your duty as a man. So you got to work. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to. So here's 3 things that we can work at as guys and stop complaining at. So don't be afraid, because remember, Adam, from that point forward, he said you're going to start sweating from your brow. So you got to work. So don't be afraid to sweat at your job. So there's been jobs that I didn't want, but I worked hard because that's what the Lord wanted me to do. I hated it. I hated every second of it, right? But I didn't want to wash cars with certain smoking plants in them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to clean those cars, right? I didn't want to clean everybody else's dirt. but I had to. I didn't want to go out every day when it was blazing hot in a 100-degree truck and deliver packages and then still have to preach and do. I didn't want to do that, but we can't
Yeah.
complain. We just got to do it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, give yourself a day to complain, but then after that, just go to work. So don't
Yep.
be afraid to sweat at your job. 2, don't be afraid to sweat at your relationships. So a lot, it's like with everybody. So I'm talking about with your family, with your mom, with your girlfriend, no matter what it is. So don't be afraid to sweat at those things. So a lot of times is we complain about those things too. Well, man, she tripping. Why she's not listening right now? How come she's not, bro? But have you listened? Like have you been thoughtful of what's going on with her or what's going on with them? So instead of complaining about what's going wrong, just try to see what you can do. Now, what they do is on them, but just do what you can do. And then the last thing, don't be afraid to sweat for Christ. So many times we give Christ kind of scraps, but what we got to do, we got to work hard for him. And so, like you mentioned, Jonathan, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, Paul said, I fought the good fight of faith. So Christ demands us to fight for him, to work for him. And so, guys, as we do these things, and these are kind of the talks that we would have sometimes while we were in Memphis. And so I thought I'd give, the listeners kind of a glimpse of some of the stuff that we would talk about. But this is the type of stuff that helps the youth grow. And so I'm proud of these guys because now, as they're in college and as they're becoming adults, they're not kids anymore. These guys, and the great thing about it is when you're in youth ministry and when you see these guys grow up, they'll start becoming your contemporaries, not the guys under you. So you guys now are adults now. So now we can have adult conversations about the scripture because you guys learn. Now sometimes we'll still have silly conversations on FaceTimes, but we can still have fun and do all that. But I can treat you guys as adults now because you guys can handle this stuff now. And so this is the great thing about iron sharpening iron is all of us have the chance to grow together. And this is how you learn to grow with your teacher and with the youth. So you guys have anything else?
No, I think that's a good thing. I think that if whoever's listening, like that, like if you're even if you're a youth minister or you're under a youth minister, like definitely use them as a resource. Like they're definitely there to give you some words of advice or give you something that they're struggling with that you might not have thought of. But if it does come up, they've told you about what they're going through, and that's gonna help you from the advice that they're trying to give you
Yeah.
to help you get through when it does come.
Yeah, that's good. You got anything else, Sam?
Yeah, I got it. If you go back to Proverbs 27, if you bump up to 20, I think 19 or 20, it's like hell and destruction are never full. Yeah, are never full. So the eyes of man are never satisfied.
Hmm.
I mean, like, because you can kind of be like, oh, I just want to have fun for a little bit. I just want to go to the beach. I don't want to put in the work. Then I'll be like, but you got to go to the office to get that work done. Are you going to wind up, in hell and destruction when like the storm comes? You'll just be sitting here on the beach, not doing anything. Be like, life's good. Sometimes, that girl, I like that girl. I'm gonna go get that girl's number, or I kind of don't feel like doing anything today. Work's a little too much for me, and I'm good. The boss get on my nerves. I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. And you just like your greed will never be satisfied for your want to more.
Yep.
But you don't. But that's why I myself included for sure is like if you don't deny yourself, not me, but he if you want to be the your I am instead of God's I am,
Yeah.
you're gonna get stuck there. Like, oh, you're just gonna get turned away and go away sorrowful. Like in Matthew 19 or 20, with the rich young ruler. Like, yeah, but I got a beach house. You got to sell it. You got
Yeah.
to go to the office. Yeah, but I don't have to work. You got to get rid of it. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, you're just gonna be on the beach, getting swept away.
Yeah. And the earlier you can learn that lesson, And it's not like the Lord doesn't want us to enjoy things while we're here, because he does. But at the same time, you gotta, as you learn to use faith, the earlier that you learn to give certain stuff up, that's nothing, it might not necessarily be wrong, but hey, I can probably replace this with something spiritual. The earlier you can learn to do that, the better you're going to be moving forward. So there's nothing wrong with, going to a ball game. There's nothing wrong with, going out on a date. There's nothing wrong with playing this video game. But if those things take precedence over him, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
So the earlier you can learn to give certain things up for him, then it's not going to be a problem for you when you're in college or when you're older, because you've already been doing it. And so these are some things that we wanted to mention to the listeners here, to help to learn to grow with your teacher. Yeah, I learned so much just from this talk, and I told him I told him before it was over, just kind of talk like we're on a regular FaceTime. And this is just, next thing you know, I think this is like 40 minutes, 30 minutes just of talking with Scripture. And I think it's the beautiful thing that as you work with people, you should be able to see them grow. So I've seen you guys grow from the time I was there. I'm glad you guys are doing well. I hope that we can have you guys here next year,
Yeah.
or later on this year, just to come up and visit and hang out at my place or whatever. So looking forward to that. Appreciate you guys again. For you listeners, continue to subscribe on YouTube and find it wherever you get your podcasts. And then we will be back, Lord willing, on Monday. Yes, on Monday with another podcast. So be looking forward to that. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.